From KEZI 9 News, this is the Friday Night Blitz preseason special.
Welcome to the Friday Night Blitz high school football preseason special. I'm Jake Sivan alongside Mike Scow. Over the next half hour, we're going to take a trip around Western Oregon to preview the upcoming season.
We'll hear from 12 different schools. We'll review our Friday Night Blitz game of the week schedule, and we'll be joined by the Register Guard's prep beat writer, Ben Schorzman.
But first, we've got to let you know who is playing where this year, because the OSAA underwent some major realignment this summer. Some of the biggest changes you'll see: Willamette and defending 5A state champs West Albany are moving up from Class 5A to 6A. North Eugene is leaving the Midwestern League and going independent for at least a year. Filling the Highlanders' place in the Midwestern will be Crater, who drops down from 6A. And 4A powerhouse Central High out of Independence is making the jump to 5A and into the Mid-Willamette League. After their state championship win, West Albany moved up from 5A to 6A. They also moved up former defensive coordinator Brian MEHL to head coach, and star running back Jake Lacoste moved out after signing with Air Force and graduating from high school. Despite all the changes, MEHL said, quote, "Football is football," and the Bulldogs aren't complaining about being in 6A.
You know, it's a whole different animal. I mean, obviously we're playing against schools that are a lot bigger population size. You know, football is football, and our kids understand that. I mean, every school has big kids and small kids, and our kids understand what they're up against. You know, I think depth will always be a concern for our coaching staff, and do we have enough guys to be able to consistently rotate guys in and keep guys healthy and fresh for a 10-game season.
Not only is Willamette making the jump up to Class 6A after 2 consecutive 2-win seasons, they join one of the best leagues in the state, the Southern Oregon Conference. But that doesn't seem to bother second-year head coach and former Duck fullback Adam Kennebrew. He said the Wolverines should do well if the players have the discipline to do so. What also helps Will High is having most of the starters on Kennebrew's up-tempo spread offense return. As for the players themselves, to say they're excited to make the jump to 6A would be an understatement.
I think, you know, the guys at 6A are all the same kids from Oregon, you know, so we just got to go out and do our thing and execute. I'm excited.
I really want to play North Medford. I've got family down there, and I'd love to go down there and smash them in the mouth.
I'm tired of being in the 5A league where it's almost like even if you're good, you're not looked at because you're not in the highest league that there is. So you get more attention, definitely, but I like playing against the big dogs.
The past 2 or 3 years, you know, in 5A, we haven't had the greatest seasons in the world, but, you know, 6A, I want to, you know, put our foot down their mouths and shut them up.
Class 6A Willamette has put you on notice. As we just mentioned, there is a reason why the 6A Southern Oregon League is known as one of the best in the state. Just look at how the league fared last year. 6 out of the 8 teams in the conference made it to the final 32-team playoff bracket, with both Sheldon and league winner North Medford making the state quarterfinals. Both of those teams are favored to make deep playoff runs again this season. The only difference this year with this conference, Crater is gone, moved down to 5A. As we mentioned, Willamette is in. Every year, Sheldon loses some of the state's best players, but the Irish always replace them and remain a state power. This year, the last names at least, will be familiar. The first names might not. The quarterback will be Justin Herbert, the playmaker, Kellen Strahm. Justin's brother Mitch and Kellen's brother Connor were Sheldon stars the past few seasons. From the way the 2 younger brothers talk about each other, sounds like we'll continue to hear about Herbert and Strahm.
Dynamic. He can run the ball, catch the ball, even throw the ball. We'll have him at Wildcat this year, kind of doing it all.
Dual threat quarterback. He's going to be, no doubt in my mind that he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the state at the end of the year. He's 6'4" and 6'5", 6'4", and he's going to be great. He's a great athlete, and it will show on the field Friday nights.
3 head coaches in 3 years. The South Eugene Axemen are trying to find stability with Kevin Leonard as the next head coach, and after the previous head coach and former Duck Chris Miller took off for West Lynn. Following that 2-8 record in 2013, Leonard told us he's trying to earn the trust of his players just as much as they're working to earn his. And he's approaching his first year as head coach with the mindset, enjoy football while accomplishing goals and building this program.
They understand that it's not time to play at certain times. Yeah, sometimes you gotta joke if I drop a ball or something. It's okay. Don't drop your head. Stay positive. Look to the next play. And if we continue to breathe that and that continues to go forward, the success will come with that.
I think in the past we've had good athletes and we've had some good coaching, but we haven't really been a family as much as we are this year. And I think that that's really going to make a change.
Just over 10 miles away at Thurston, the Colts still plan to be aggressive in 2014. A couple seasons ago, they used the onside kick for about 90% of their kickoffs. Well, thanks to a rule change by the OSAA, and they won't onside kick as much this year, but that doesn't mean they won't get crazy in the kicking game. Thurston will place kick their punts this season, which is exactly what it sounds like and is perfectly legal in high school football.
Looks just like a field goal. Okay. Looks exactly like a field goal, except for we can do it directionally, because he can control like where it goes. So we can kick it on an angle. We can eliminate returns a lot of times, especially if they have a real dangerous return man. We can eliminate the return and kick it 35, 40 yards out of bounds and do some things. So it's just safer for us. And, if people want to come after it, we've got some nice fakes off of it.
The 5A Midwestern League also tends to be a dogfight between bitter rivals, though last year was a one-sided affair. Ashland ran away with the league title in 2013, going undefeated on its way to the state semifinals. Springfield was impressive, though, with only 1 league loss. Marist and Churchill both trying to bounce back from average years, and both Willamette and North Eugene will test their luck in different leagues. For the 3rd straight year, Trevor Watson will be Dave Heiberger's starting quarterback at Springfield, and he's only just a junior. Watson, who also started as a freshman 2 years ago, was the Midwestern League's Offensive Player of the Year in 2013. His coach says he's even better this year. If that's true, the Millers could end up playing deep in November.
We have so much talent. I mean, the sky's the limit with this team. I think we're ready to make a run this year.
Yeah, I could sit here and sandbag it a little bit, but when you got the quarterback like Trevor coming back and you got some talent around him, I'm not going to sell our kids short and get on here and say, hey, we'll see how we could be. We should be pretty good. He's the returning Offensive Player of the Year in our league. It'd be cheating them if I said, hey, we're going to, we'll be okay. We'll see how it's going. They should be good.
Marist is usually the Midwestern League team that plays deep into November, but last year was different. A 6-5 record and a first-round playoff exit. The Spartans have 4 transfers this year, including Churchill quarterback Justin Kearney, South Eugene's Quinn Cota, and Sheldon's Trevor Ville. And the Spartans say that last year was a one-time thing.
Anytime that we go, I think we went 6-5 or something like that. That's not a Marist season, and so it left a bitter taste in our mouth. So coming into this year, I'm very excited. I think a lot of different things are going to happen, and I'm very excited.
Oh, we will be back. We are back. We didn't pursue last year. It looked like the St. Paul Jogathon when we were on defense, and this year it's not. You can already tell. It's just a whole different feel, a whole different vibe.
The Churchill Lancers are also looking to build upon last year's success. Even though they ended with a losing record, they managed to sneak into the playoffs by beating Park Rose in the play-in round, only to lose to eventual state runner-up Sherwood. According to coach Darrell MEHL, many questions still remain unanswered this season, including who will start at quarterback and how they'll fare in the slightly new-look Midwestern League.
I don't know how we're going to do, and everybody in the league, everybody that we beat last year except for Eagle Point is no longer in our league. Right. So, we could be last place and be still pretty good, so it's going to be an interesting league.
One of those teams that Darrell MEHL was referring to, North Eugene, has done something radical this year. Not in the Midwestern League anymore. The Highlanders have struggled for a while in that league. so they're going independent this season to kind of get a fresh start. North Eugene will play a schedule of 4A teams. Head coach Edmund Rivera says they're doing it so they can rebuild the program back to where it was when Danny Ainge was roaming the halls of North Eugene High in the 60s and 80s when North Eugene was on top. Rivera believes teams on their schedule, like next week's opener at Elmira, will let them be competitive every single week.
You know, we're excited about it, and the kids are too. So the practices have been exuberant and with a lot of energy and zest. So we hope that we can continue this throughout the next 9 weeks.
We're still going to go into it like we're playing a bigger team. We're not going to just act like just because it's a small team. We're not just going to stroll up and act like we're just going to kick their butts, because that's not going to win us games, and we want to really do that.
Friday Night Blitz preseason special, we reveal our Friday Night Blitz Game of the Week broadcast schedule. Find out if you can watch your team live on Friday night this season.
And when we come back, we head north for a preview of the Mid-Willamette League. Plus, we take a look at realignment for all the other classes. All that after the break.
Welcome back to the Friday Night Blitz preseason special on KEZI 9 News.
We continue our preview of the upcoming high school season by moving north to the Mid-Willamette League. Last year, as deep of a league as there was in the state of Oregon. Kristen Rogers joins us live in the studio. Kristen, a different look in the Mid-Willamette this year with defending champion West Albany moving on up to 6A.
Jake, last year, the Mid-Willamette League sent 4 teams to the 16-team 5A playoff bracket, with West Albany coming out as the eventual state champion. With West Albany gone, there will be a new conference champ. Silverton is still around and definitely a state title contender. And former 4A power Central will join the race as well. The Corvallis Spartans had a disappointing last 2 seasons. They finished with a losing record of 3-4 in the Mid-Willamette, and the seniors say they need to add more grit to their program if they don't want to repeat that again this year.
You know, we've finished the last 2 seasons, you know, not where we want to be, and this group, that's a huge start. If you believe you can, you know, then you practice like you can, and we have enough talent that we really can.
We've had a lot of drive since we started this year, and everyone is just chomping at the bit to start playing.
Valley head coach Scott Sanders is without his star quarterback and his son Tanner Sanders as he is playing for Oregon State this year. Crescent Valley went 5-2 last season, finishing 3rd behind West Albany and Silverton. Crescent Valley will put itself to the test on September 19th when it faces crosstown rival Corvallis in its first league game. Back to you guys.
Because there isn't as much realignment in Class 4A this year, that means some old rivals will still get to face off head-to-head this season. Some of the changes this year include Sutherland moving up from the Far West League and joining the Sky M. The Far West stays largely the same. Philomath has some new teams to play against in the Oregon West. Last season, head coach Gary Roberts led Cottage Grove to a 10-3 record before losing to Ridgeview in the state championship. This year, CG has to replace 7 of their offensive starters, including 4A Player of the Year Scotty Hittner and 3 first-team All-Starters. But Roberts says he's not feeling pressured to have the same success as last year.
I think every year's a different year. I just want our kids to play the best football that they can, and part of our jobs as coaches are to get them to where they're playing as good as their potential can take them. I think if you look at it as you got to get back to where you were or do better, or else you're a failure. It's not what life should be about. It's just about doing the best you can, and our kids are focused on that. It's just maximizing their potential and not worrying about what we did last year.
In 3A, the Pac West was split in half and a new conference, the South Valley, was created. Cresswell, Harrisburg, and Pleasant Hill will be joined by Coquille and Glide. Also Lapine, which moved down from 4A for this season. St. M. Christian, meanwhile, moves from the Pac West into the West Valley.
In 2A, the Mountain View Conference adds 3 more schools, including Crow, who moved up from 1A. The Tri-River lost Waldport and Toledo, who moved to Sunset, and also Culver, but gained St. Paul, who jumped up from 1A. And the Sunset now also includes Bandon, who moved down from 3A. A lot of new changes in Class 1A. Days Creek and Glendale moved to the Special District 2 West. North Douglas moved down from 2A to 1A and the Special District 3 East. The Special District 3 West includes Alsea, Falls City, Mapleton, Siletz, and Triangle Lake.
One of the most entertaining stories of all of state all football in Oregon last year was just how many points Lowell managed to score. The Red Devils set a national record by scoring 946 points in their 13 games last season. That was just under 73 points a game. Lowell went undefeated in 8-man football until losing to Imbler in the 1A state title game. The final score, 88-76. So how have Coach Pat Todd and his boys been so red hot on offense?
I don't know that we're stronger or physically, stronger than any other team out there. I think we're better coached and we have more endurance, I'd say.
Quite honestly, I think we were tough. A lot of times we were the better team, and it showed sometimes. I mean, you come out there and you perform like you should and like people think that you can, and you just win games.
Everybody talks about the different systems and which ones work. They all work if you do them well, and everybody believes in it. And ours is pretty simple, double tight eye. I had a buddy say, oh, you scored all those points, you should get a DVD made and make some money. I go, nobody wants to watch a DVD of double tight eye. It's about as basic as it gets, but we just had a ton of kids that could score.
We are still a few minutes away from revealing our Game of the Week broadcast schedule, but coming up next, the Register Guard's Ben Schorzman joins us in studio to talk some high school football. We discuss the most intriguing storylines of the season after the break.
Welcome back to the Friday Night Blitz preseason special on KEZI 9 News.
We are now joined by Ben Schorzman, prep beat writer from the Register Guard. Want to talk a little bit about what you think some of the most intriguing storylines are for high school football in our area this season, and it always starts in 6A with the Sheldon Irish. They lost a lot of guys this year. They lose a lot of guys every year, but they still always manage to be Sheldon.
Yeah, that was the thing that struck me when I visited practice last week. Coach Johnson said, this is a very Sheldon group, and to some people that might not make a lot of sense. Of course it's Sheldon, right? They're playing for them, but what he meant was it's a program. They have it built up, and even though they lost 25 seniors, they have a bunch of guys coming up underneath that are going to make a lot of plays for them this year.
Kind of the younger brothers taking over
right
now, and Justin Herbert at quarterback, I know, is a guy that they're really excited about at Sheldon.
Everyone just raves about Justin Herbert. Got to see him play in garbage time last year in some blowouts, and I remember asking Coach last year, who's this young kid that just can run? And that's what he's going to bring this year is zone read and all that stuff that they didn't really have last year with Joseph Kuhn, who is a little bit more of a pocket thrower.
Get back to maybe when Taylor Alley was there,
exactly.
A guy who could run the ball. Now, obviously, playing at Oregon.
Yeah.
Heading down south a little bit, South Eugene has a new coach, Chris Miller, gone after 1 year there, and now it's Kevin Leonard, who was kind of a longtime deputy of Chris Miller. What is your impression of what Kevin Leonard has done to the program?
I think he's made it more positive. That's what a lot of the kids said. They said it's a little bit more upbeat around camp, not a lot of yelling. It's a lot more positivity being reinforced. And when I went to camp last week, there was Katy Perry blaring, and they played music throughout the entire practice, and they just really wanted to instill being a group, and because they haven't had a lot of success. 2-28 in the Southwest Conference since 2011, haven't won a conference game in that long. Not a lot of upbeatness around South, so for them it's trying to get that back.
Meanwhile, at Thurston, Coach Justin Stark always kind of likes to innovate, and it sounds like this year we're going to be seeing something pretty crazy on special teams from the Colts.
Yeah, this kicker in Jaron Levesque, I noticed last year he played against South Eugene late in the year. They beat him, kicked a 46-yard field goal. And I asked Coach Stark about it afterward, and he's like, yeah, this kid's for real. And this summer, he's a soccer player too, but this summer he went to Oregon's kicking camp and competed well against kids that are being recruited by the Ducks. And Coach just really thinks he's gonna be a D1 prospect. But yeah, they're gonna place kick their punts, which is I've never seen before, and I had to really brush up on that. Ask Coach about it.
I don't think anyone knew that you were allowed to do that.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing as a punt, just from 7 yards back, and they're just gonna have a holder, and they can place things a lot more because you can consistently kick it 40, 50 yards down the field, which is a big weapon.
It's going to be fun and interesting to see at Thurston this season. In 5A, the Midwestern League got a lot more competitive because of realignment. Willamette into 6A, who had struggled even in 5A the past few years. North Eugene going independent for the season. And Crater, who had been decent in 6A, comes down now to play in 5A in the Midwestern League. It's going to be a much tougher league this year than even in years past.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were maybe a little surprised by just how down Marist was last year. Struggled a lot. You saw it early. Their offense wasn't that great. This year, they've added some weapons, so they're going to be a lot better. Ashland was great last year. Springfield, they lose some all-state guys, but they still have Trevor Watson. So, yeah, at the top of the Midwestern League is going to be really fun and exciting.
It should be hopefully a fun season for high school football, as it always is in our area. Ben Schorzman of the Register Guard, thanks for coming on our Friday Night Blitz preseason special.
Thank you.
And coming up after the break, we reveal our high school football Friday Night Blitz Game of the Week schedule. Find out which games will be live broadcasted on Friday nights throughout the season, right after the break.
Across the 50, Yanni Dunmore in a foot race, and he will score. Touchdown, Sheldon.
Welcome back to the Friday Night Blitz preseason special on KEZI 9 News.
It is finally time to reveal our Friday Night Blitz Game of the Week schedule.
Once again, every Friday night during football season, we'll bring you one high school football game live on Live Well, Western Oregon.
Our first game of the week will be Lake Ridge out of Portland coming down to take on Sheldon on September 5th. The week after that, it's Mid-Willamette Power Silverton heading south to face Marist.
On the 19th, 6A League rivals clash as Sheldon hosts Grants Pass. Then on the 26th is another Southern Oregon showdown with South Eugene hosting last year's league champ North Medford.
On October 3rd, Churchill is home against Midwestern League foe Ashland. The week after that, Marist heads down I-5 to take on Eagle Point.
On the 17th, Willamette, new to 6A this year, will host a tough opponent in North Medford. Then on the 24th, it's Churchill's turn to head down to Jackson County and go head-to-head with Eagle Point.
And finally, our final game of the week pits Midwestern rivals Marist against Springfield on Halloween. Save the best for last. The schedule is subject to change, of course. You can find Live Well Western Oregon on Comcast Channel 309, Charter 291 over the air on 9.2. That does it for us. In addition to the game of the week, be sure to tune in every Friday night for the Friday Night Blitz at 11:15 right here on KEZI. For Mike, I'm Jake. See you then.